Judy, you've already done your
Good morning. I'm reading from 429 at the back of our hymnal, in case anyone wants to go along and read too. Come into this place of peace, and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory, and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power, and let its vision change your heart.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Peg Pigeon. I'm your worship associate. It's my taxes coming out on this beautiful July morning. The First Unitarian Church of Omaha is a community of many genders and sexualities, a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds, a community of wide-ranging abilities and gifts, as well as all ages. In our congregation, we have people with quite varied interests, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and yes, even religiously. We always wish to extend a welcome to any visitors who may be joining us. This week, as every week, we acknowledge and honor that where we meet for worship as the First Unitarian Church of Omaha, is the land of the Omaha and Odo Nation, and that indigenous people in the greater community have become marginalized and made invisible. May we recognize their presence among us and work with them to resolve the issues of poverty, displaced children, and murdered and missing indigenous women, the MMIW. Our speaker today is the Reverend Sarah Voss. She happens to be our church's associate community minister. If you're in need of pastoral care throughout the month of July, Reverend Sarah Voss will be available by request. Our settled minister, Reverend Sherry We'll be back in August. We invite you to join us in fellowship after the service in the common room. We'll do our chalice lighting, and Nellie Chenoweth has agreed to come up and light the chalice. Thank you. Spark of the Spirit cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we kindle our connection to the sacred web of life. And we have some more wonderful, beautiful music by Judy. Thanks, Judy.
This song this morning is called Paz y Libertad, means peace and freedom, and it's in Spanish. So it's peace and freedom for all the children. We want peace and freedom for all the children of the world. And the verses talk about no more hunger, no more war, for all the older people, for all the poor. We want peace and freedom. No more bombs, no more radiation, no more genocide. And sing along on the chorus if you want. Para los niños de todo el mundo queremos paz y libertad. Para los niños de todo el mundo queremos paz y libertad. Paz, queremos paz y libertad en este mundo. Paz, queremos paz y libertad en este mundo. Ya no más hambre, ya no más guerra, queremos paz en esta tierra. Ya no más hambre, ya no más guerra, queremos paz en esta tierra. Paz, queremos paz y libertad en este mundo. Paz, queremos paz y libertad en este mundo. Para los pobres y los viejitos queremos paz y libertad. Para los pobres y los viejitos queremos paz y libertad. Paz, queremos paz y libertad en este mundo. Ya no más bombas ni radiación, no más ideas de exterminación. Ya no más bombas ni radiación, no más ideas de exterminación. Paz, queremos paz y libertad en este mundo. Y libertad en este mundo. Paz, queremos paz y libertad en este mundo.
That was wonderful. All right, it's that time of year. Actually, it's a little late, isn't it, Kai and Telia? But come on up, tell us.
From the first time that I walked through the doors here at First Unitarian, I felt welcomed and loved. Something that, as a transgender man, I did not know could come from a church community. Today, I am honored to be here to ask for your help. I would like you guys to help me spread that welcoming feeling, that loving feeling that I felt from the first time I walked through the door and every time since. How you can help is join me at the 2022 Heartland Parade. I ask that you please join me along with First and Second Unitarian on Saturday, July 16th. If you'd like to carpool to the parade location, please meet at the First Unitarian parking lot between 7:30 and 8:15 a.m. I know that's very early for a Saturday. You may also choose to meet us at the parade location. If you choose to meet us at the parade location, please arrive no later than 9:45 because the parade is scheduled to start at 10 o'clock. The lineup location is going to be on Jones Street between 14th and 15th Street, but the exact location where we will be placed in that lineup is not yet known. So if you need assistance in finding our group, please call, text, or if you're here today, reach out to Tila Colbert. She is going to have her phone on her that day so we can make sure that everyone is able to join us as we walk to help support the local LGBTQ+ community. I look forward to seeing everyone at the parade this Saturday, Heartland Pride Parade, June 16th, sorry, not June, see it is late, July 16th, downtown Omaha. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kai. All right, it's that time for our community offering, and every week we take up an offering in support of our liberal religious values. 1/2 of the loose currency in the offering plate is donated to a different cause each month, one with a local presence that advances our UU principles. Our Share of the Plate recipient for the month of July is NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. NAMI is a grassroots organization dedicated to education, support, and advocacy with anyone whose life has been touched by mental illness. If you would like to give from home, there's a link on the First UU homepage under This Week, and you can click on it, and you can learn about NAMI by going to their website, www.nami.org. And Judy will play our offering music while it is taken up.
Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you. I walked out this morning and I wrote down this song. I just can't remember who to send it to. Oh, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again. Won't you look down upon me, Jesus? You gotta help me make a stand. You just gotta see me through another day. My body's aching and my time is at hand, and I won't make it any other way. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. always thought that I'd see you again. I've been walking my mind to an easy time, my back turned towards the sun. Lord knows when the cold wind blows, it'll turn your head around. But there's hours of time on the telephone line, talk about things to come, sweet dreams and flying machines and pieces on the ground. I've seen fire and I've seen rain, I've seen sunny things that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend, but I always thought that I'd see you again. See you, baby, one more time again now. Thought I'd see you one more time again. There's just a few things coming around this way this time around me now. Thought I'd see you, thought I'd see you, fire and rain. Ooh.
Now we come to a time in our service for sharing together our joys and concerns. We share our joys so they may be multiplied, and our concerns so that our community can offer its cares. Did we have any cards today from the community here? No? Colin, anything? Everything's perfect in our world? Is that Elaine?
We went to Walden, standing there late, and we went to the end of the trail, and there were the Omahawks with their model planes, flying their model planes all over the lake. It was so much fun. They really welcomed us, and there was a food truck, and they only do this 4 times a year, so we just totally, hit the right time by total serendipity. So that was just such a joy and a pleasure.
What fun. It's nice. Oh, I think we have none? No? Colin? Well, thank you all. Oh, we got one from Judy. Do you want to? Yeah, why don't you come up and... Okay.
I just want to say, shout out care and concern to the women of Mississippi who absolutely have no more access to interstate to abortion rights.
Well, thank you all, and thank you, Judy. I'm going to move on then to our reading, and we have 2 readers today. We have John Goldner. Oh, pardon me? Oh, the meditation. Gee, you guys nearly got away without having a meditation because I wasn't reading my notes. All right, we're going to have a very short meditation because I'm embarrassed. Now, go ahead and close your eyes and sit back in your chairs. Both feet are firmly on the floor. Let's allow our eyes to soften and close, relaxing our shoulders, our abdomen, letting the worries in your mind dissolve. Feel the support beneath you, how that pew holds the weight of your body. Connect with the earth below you through the bottom of your feet. Become aware of the sounds around you, but just let them be there. Allow your mind to empty of anxious thoughts and feelings. Let it go. Let those thoughts flow out and away. Allow your body to release the tensions that hold you. Let it go. Let those tensions flow out and away. And we'll just sit in silence for a few more moments with our eyes closed. And if you slowly would like to bring your awareness back to this time and this space, I think do you want to call the readers up? No? Okay. I will go ahead and call the readers up, John Goldner, Mark Losikoff, to read selections from Colum McCann's Pierregon.
Thank you very much. This is a long reading, both mine and Mark's, and it's from a historical novel written in 2020 by Colum McCann. My name is Rami Elhanan. I am the father of Smadar. I am a 67-year-old graphic designer, an Israeli, a Jew, a seventh-generation Jerusalemite, also what you might call a graduate of the Holocaust. My mother was born in the old city of Jerusalem to an ultra-Orthodox family. My father came here in 1946. What he saw in the camps he seldom spoke about, except to my daughter Smadar when she was 10 or 11. I was a kid from a straightforward background. We weren't wealthy, but we weren't poor. I got in some trouble at school, nothing big. I ended up in industrial school, then studied art, more or less an ordinary life. The story I want to tell you starts and ends on one particular day of the Jewish calendar, Yom Kippur. For Jews, this is a day when we ask forgiveness for our sins, the holiest day of our calendar. I was a young soldier fighting in the October 73 war in Sinai, a horrible war. Everyone knows this, it's no revelation. We started with a company of 11 tanks and finished it with 3. My job included bringing in ammunition and taking out the dead and wounded. I lost some of my very close friends, carried them out on stretchers. I emerged from the war bitter, angry, disappointed, with just one thing on my mind: to detach myself from any kind of involvement or commitment, to block myself off from anything official at all. I was sort of an anarchist. Not really an anarchist even. I had no political involvement. I just wasn't interested at all. The West Bank, Gaza, Sinai, Timbuktu, I didn't care. I didn't think about them. I just wanted a normal, quiet life. I got out of the Army, and I finished my studies at Bezalel Academy of Arts and Design. I got married to Nurit, and we had 4 kids. One of my children was Smadar. She was born on the eve of Yom Kippur in September 1983 in a hospital in Jerusalem. My 3 boys and this little princess, we lived what seemed to be a perfect sheltered life in Jerusalem in our secure house in the Rehavia neighborhood at the time. Nurit taught in the Hebrew University. She was radical, left-wing, stunning, brilliant. She went to the best schools. She was the daughter of a general, the Israeli elite, really. In a way, you could say that we lived inside a bubble, completely detached from the outside world. In this tiny country, smaller than New Jersey, you could drive from one end to the other in a day. It had its problems, of course, but what place doesn't? I was doing graphic design, posters and ads, for the right wing, for the left wing, whoever paid money. Life was good. We were happy, complacent. To be honest, it suited me. That day in 1997, 3 suicide bombers blew themselves up in the middle of Ben Yehuda Street in the center of Jerusalem. 3 bombs, one after another. They killed 8 people, themselves and 5 others, including 3 little girls. One of these girls was Ars Madari. It was a Thursday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She was out buying books for school, and later she was going to sign up for a jazz dance lessons. A nice quiet day. She was walking down the street with her friends, listening to music. Somebody, a fellow Israeli, told me once that they wish I had been blown up with my daughter on Ben Yehuda Street. I thought about that for a long time. Should I have been blown up? And after a while, the answer was clear. Yes, because I had been blown up. It had already happened. And it has happened with so many others since. And we are still being blown up in Gaza, the West Bank, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and we're still looking around and collecting the pieces. Every day my mind begs the question, why? You never heal. Don't let anyone tell you that you ever fully heal. It's the living who have to bury the dead. I pay the price. Sometimes I despair, but what else is there to be in the end but hopeful? What else are we going to do? Walk away, kill ourselves, kill each other? That's already happened. It didn't achieve much. I know that it will not be over until we talk to each other. That's what it says on the sticker on the front of my bike. Joining with others saved my life. We cannot imagine the harm we're doing by not listening to one another, and I mean this on every level. It is immeasurable.
My name is Bassam Aramin. I am the father of Abir. I am a Palestinian, a Muslim, an Arab. I'm 48 years old. I've lived many places, a cave near Hebron, 7 years in prison, then an apartment in Anata, and these days in a house with a garden in Jericho near the Dead Sea. My father raised goats and other animals in the hills. My mother looked after 15 brothers and sisters. They were both born near Sa'ir, a village close to Hebron, their parents and their parents before them too. I lived in a cave, but not a cave as you might think of it. We had shelves full of books, carpets on the walls. It was cool in summer, warm in winter, always alive with voices and good cooking. We were happy there, and we had what we wanted. When I was a boy, my friends and I raised the Palestinian flag in our school playground. We did it because it was our flag, and it was illegal to fly it, and because we knew it would drive the Israeli soldiers crazy when they saw it up there. We watched them arrive, and we threw stones at them. In return, they fired tear gas, rubber bullets, live rounds. Then they tore the flag down, and we threw more stones, and then we put the flag back up again. Putting up a flag could mean a year in jail. We were always ducking and running and jumping walls. We were kids. We didn't really understand what was going on. It wasn't until 2005 that some of us started meeting in secret with former Israeli soldiers. I was among the first 4 Palestinians. You can't imagine the first meeting. Up in the Everest Hotel. For us, they were criminals, killers. Enemies, assassins. And for them, we were the same. One of them was Rami's son, Elik. This is how our two families met. We were meeting as enemies who now wanted to speak. These young Israelis were refusing to fight in the West Bank and Gaza, not for the sake of the Palestinian people, but for their own people. We were not acting to save Israeli lives either, but to prevent Palestinians from suffering. We were being selfish, both sides, and that is natural. Why wouldn't you be? At first, I didn't care about them. Okay, they were different, but so what? It was only later that we both came to feel a responsibility for each other's people. It took more than a year. We started Combatants for Peace, there in the Everest Hotel up the road near the settlement by the wall, 2 minutes away. Rumi, the poet, the Sufi, said something I will never forget. Beyond right and wrong, there is a field. I'll meet you there. We were right and we were wrong, and we met in a field. We realized that we wanted to kill each other to achieve the same thing, peace and security. Imagine that. What an irony. It's crazy. We sat in the Everest Hotel and talked about ending the occupation. Even that word occupation makes most Israelis tremble. Of course, each one had a different point of view. They are the occupiers, and we are the ones under occupation, so it looks different to them. But in the end, we were all dying. We were killing each other over and over and over. We needed to know each other instead. This is the center of gravity. This is where it all comes down. There will be security for everyone when we have justice for everyone. As I have always said, it's a disaster to discover the humanity of your enemy, this nobility, his nobility, because then he is not your enemy anymore. He just can't be. Maybe the story could have ended there. I wish it could have. I wish I could walk out of here now, back to Jericho, to my garden, and not have to tell you any more. My story finished. Good night. I hope the morning comes with peace. But on January 16, 2007, 2 years after Combatants for Peace was founded, my 10-year-old daughter, Abir, walked out from her school early in the morning. It was a quiet day, my Black Tuesday. Not much was going on. She was just by the school gates when she was shot by a member of the Israeli border police with a rubber bullet. An American-made rubber bullet, an American-made M16 from an American-made Jeep. There was no violence or intifada going on. She was shot in the back of the head. She had just gone to the store. She had just bought herself some candy. I don't have time for hate anymore. We need to learn how to use our pain, invest in our peace, not in our blood. That's what we say.
So we can meditate on what has just been read. Judy is going to play a piece at the piano.
Beautiful. Thank you. First, a big thanks to Dr. John Goldner and Mark Loskatoff for sharing these readings today. I hope the stories they told will encourage you to actively check out Colin McCann's book. After I read McCann's Apeirogon, I began looking at compassion from different angles and different spaces. And I wish to share some of these different perspectives with you today. I'd like to begin with a $20 bill. Now, here's my question. What is the difference between a $20 bill at the grocery store and a $20 bill at church? It's context. At the grocery store, it appears small. At church, it looks big. In this instance, size depends on context. In general, most everything depends on context. The other day, I was out working in my lawn, as I often am, and a car came barreling across the hedge. And an elderly person came out of it, man, and he'd been driving it, and I led him over to a lawn bench, and I said, "You appear quite elderly to be driving." "Well, yes, I am," he said proudly. "I'm be 97 next month, and I'm old enough now to drive without a license." I said, "How do you know?" And he said, "The last time I went to my doctor, he examined me and asked me if I had a driver's license, and I pulled it out and showed it to him, gave it to him, and he took scissors out of his drawer and cut it into little pieces. And then he said, 'You won't be needing this anymore.' So I thanked him and left." That's the elderly context. I know it better now than I used to. So. This morning, I'd like to explore the notion of context and compassion. I want to lift up compassion in various situations and aspects, somewhat as Colin McCann has done in his brilliant novel, Apeirogon. Let me see, this is what it looks like. Yeah. The title is straight out of mathematics. It refers to a generalized polygon, a many-sided figure with a countably infinite number of sides, sort of like this. Yeah. Only it's an infinite number instead of just this many. There's a picture of one of these on the back of the Order of Service, an artistic rendering of more of an infinite one than this. When you view this from the different spaces, first it looks like it's all triangles, but then there it is, it's a square, a lot of different things. Different perspectives. In fact, so many different perspectives, and there's an infinite number of these, that it's really best viewed in your imagination. Your imagination will also help you understand how an infinitely sided geometric figure is also perfectly real, sort of, in my opinion, like God is in our ordinary vision. It's real and beyond real, both. As we heard earlier, Apeirogon tells the true story of a Jew and a Palestinian, each of whom lost young daughters to the violence in the Middle East. And then they turned their grief into an organization called Combatants for Peace. Both the organization of McCann's book and its title are a bit paradoxical. It's a welcome paradox. I like to think of this book as a symbol for how we can turn grief and pain into something vibrating with true compassion. For a person with a strong mathematical background like myself, the best gem about this book is how McCann structures it. Apeirogon contains 1,001 chapters, some long, some only one line, and some seemingly unrelated, many seemingly unrelated to the main story. All of them, taken together, help us look at the whole notion of compassion from many different perspectives and contexts. There are constant surprises in this book, some small and numerical, such as the ones about amicable numbers. It's a pair of numbers whose sum of their proper divisors equals each other. 220 and 284 are one example, the only ones under 1,000. That may not trigger you as much as it does some people, but that's part of his approach on this. And another small surprise is the way the first half of McCann's chapters are labeled from 1 to 500, and we heard part of 500 from Dr. Goldner, and that is followed by a chapter called 1001, that's the number of it, and then the next one starts again at 500, and we heard that from Mark Loskatoff, and then they go down to 1. It's out of the ordinary. It makes you break out of your normal expectations, which is what I think we have to do. And it's somehow weird how all of this structure encourages the reader in this book to suspend our normal responses and believe, truly believe, that somehow we can change as a collective body of humans and learn to be a more compassionate species. To accomplish this lofty goal, we will need to think a little more about context because our understanding of compassion so often depends on it. Context, according to Gavin de Becker, in his 1997 book, The Gift of Fear, there's kind of an old copy of it, he says it's the necessary link that gives meaning to everything that we observe. De Becker illustrates context with a story about a man who arrives for work one morning, but avoids using the unlocked door that the other employees normally use. Instead, he goes around back and waits until someone else arrives and with a key to the back door, and then he follows them in, hurrying to catch the door before it relocks. A coworker tells him that the boss wants to see him, and the man who is carrying a heavy-looking gym bag stops in the locker room long enough to remove a pistol and a handgun from the bag. He conceals both of them underneath his jacket, and he goes to see his boss. What do you think might happen? Me? I thought this would probably lead to one of the increasing number of shootings society is currently experiencing. Based on the facts given, I expected violence. However, in this story, it turns out that the man is a police officer, a police detective. This small detail changed my prediction. Context matters. In a slightly different setting, I remember being quite downhearted one day and also pretty angry with someone I love a whole lot. And I was stuck in a car and couldn't do much of anything except rage kind of internally. And to calm myself, I started writing a list of words that in and of themselves were positive Words such as beneficent, happiness, joy, well-giving, love. Call out a few. Words that have just in and of themselves are positive. Peace. Call some more out.
Kindness.
Okay. A few more.
Beauty.
Okay. When I had written down a whole page of such words, something surprising happened. I felt better. All I had done was list these upbeat words. And now I ask you to consider the following set of 5 words and the context in which they appear. Tidy, pretty, flowers, beautiful, welcome. This short list also came out of Dee Becker's book, The Gift of Fear. They were lifted from the following sentence. Tidy up your affairs and buy some pretty flowers because God has ordered me to take you to his beautiful place where he is anxious to welcome you. Immediately, I recalled a news story I had once read, I think in the World Herald, about a gruesome slaying by a man who claimed God told me to do it. Indeed, context sometimes means more in predicting outcomes of behavior than the content context does. Luckily for us, there are various ways we can intentionally help develop compassionate actions. And the rest of my sermon is devoted to giving 5 of those ways, 5 out of an infinite number. In his 2020 book, Healing the Reason-Emotion Split, I'm big on books today, neuroscientist Dan Levine offers a potent new voice about societal change. His voice is refreshing, relieving, reassuring. His words and research encourage a future world that is governed by compassion coupled with cognitive insight. Troubled times call for courage, Levine reminds us. We must be willing to try new approaches. He lays out some of the things, including chemical supplements, that can encourage our brains to replace an involuntary reaction, such as fight or flight, with a partnership response of tend and befriend. That's chemical supplements that can help encourage that. In his book, Levine, who is a longtime Unitarian Universalist, consistently shows how the partnership model is both a preferable, does less harm, and also a realistic goal leading to a compassionate revolution. Supporting and sharing brain research like Levine's is the first way we can help bring about compassionate behavior. A second way of promoting a more compassionate future is through informal or formal lawmaking. Last September, the Wall Street Journal printed a piece about a small town in northeastern Ohio, Fostoria, which in 1998 passed a code of conduct. Quote, don't cuss in public, don't lie, don't shout or talk too loudly while in the presence of other people. The purpose of this code was to try to make life more serene and pleasant in Fostoria, Ohio. It was to legislate good behavior. Did this legislation work? Well, probably not. Steve Kaufman, the current president of Fostoria, City Council said the code's probably still on the books, but he doubts the ability to enforce it in this day of strong social media reaction. These days, he says, if a local council passed a resolution saying the sky is blue, the statement would cause an argument. So, well, Fostoria was overconfident in seeking to legislate compassionate behavior. Legal actions nonetheless can and do influence and encourage compassionate behavior. Just consider the heavy legal arm of government in getting our nation's population vaccinated against COVID. Controversial? Yes, but legislation is a possible tool. Brain knowledge, legal boosters, these are two ways to potentially bring about a compassionate revolution. Another is even simpler. Teach our children how to be compassionate. This is not a new idea. In McGuffey's Third Reader, dated 1879, children all over America read this poem, "Do Your Best." Do your best, your very best, and do it every day. Little boys and little girls, that is the wisest say. Whatever work comes to your hand, at home or at your school, do your best with right goodwill. It's a golden rule. This is actually just half the poem. The entire poem can be found in a little booklet called the Rural School 1883 Copybook, which was compiled and written. Some of you have seen this already, I'm sure. It was written in 2013 by Sandra Kessler Host, a member for many years of First UU Church in Omaha. We don't have to look very hard to find evidence that this little poem from 140 years ago hasn't been enough to create the compassionate world we are searching for, but nonetheless, it is indeed a start. There are many approaches to teaching our young people how to have right goodwill, to follow a golden rule, but one I really like is role-playing. I found some online ideas about helping children develop compassion through role-playing. Meaningfulmama.com is where you can find them. I liked these role plays, and I thought it might be fun to, and maybe even instructive, to try one here today. Being able to do a role play during a sermon is one of the huge blessings of having in-person church services, so I'm glad you're here. So this one is that I'd like to try is basically one that starts where your mother is working hard to get dinner on a table. And I would like 2 volunteers to come up and play this role play. Okay, one will be a mom or possibly a dad, and the other will be the kid. Okay, all right. Okay, I think we had somebody back here who was, no? Okay, so okay with that? Okay, the kid sits in the chair, and the mom is in her kitchen. All right? And you can introduce yourselves in case nobody knows, and not everybody knows who you are.
I'm Elaine Wells.
Terry Lynn Brewer.
Okay. All right, and the mom is trying to solicit some compassionate help as she's bringing some stuff in for the table. And the kid is a kid. You're sitting there with your device at the table. All right, so what I'd like you to do is to just come in and see if you can try to encourage the gifts of time, relationship, doing the right thing for someone else. It doesn't take long to do this, but help the kid brainstorm some ideas that are not monetary, as in, I'll pay you if you come and help me with this. Okay, go for it.
So, Terry Lynn, I need your help to set the table.
I'm kind of busy right now, you know.
Yeah.
I got an important message I have to send out right now.
Well, I can see that you're busy, and I know that your friends are important to you, but the dinner is almost ready, and we need
you
to...
know, your mom, you know how to set the table.
I know, but I'm busy finishing up the dinner now, so it would be really helpful. for
We'll
our whole-
ask David to
It
do
would
it.
be really helpful for our whole family if you could just help us now, and then you can send the message to your friends a little later.
I'm not the only kid in this family. Ask the other ones.
Well, you know what? They've helped in the past already today, and so we really need you to participate and contribute something to the family.
You know, I do love this family, and
Yeah?
yeah,
And this is one way you could show it in some practical way.
yeah, but, well, you know.
Well, can you tell me something you do love about the family or something other members of our family have done for you?
Well, I like it when we do stuff together.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And pretty soon we're all going to eat together as soon as
Okay.
we have some plates and silverware on the table.
All right. I
Okay.
give in. I will set the table. And
Okay.
I love you, Mom.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Okay, so number 3 is teaching children through role playing, and the fourth way is to support a compassionate world is to teach adults how to be more compassionate. Let's see if you can imagine this scenario, which I am taking directly out of The Gift of Fear. And here's the context. I'm reading this from the book. It is the year 2050, and predictions about people are perfect. These predictions are made with a high-tech chemical test. You can accept a ride from a total stranger. You can ask a homeless person you've never seen before to watch your house while you are out of town. You can do this free of fear that they might harm you, because predictions of intent and character are totally reliable. You are skimming along in your hovercraft one afternoon, taking your 6-year-old daughter to the park when you are paged to come to an urgent business meeting. You go to the park anyway and look around for some stranger with whom you can leave your daughter. There's a middle-aged woman sitting on a bench reading a book, and as you sit down next to her, she smiles. Using a device nearly everyone carries these days, you conduct an instant high-tech test on her, as she does on you, and you both pass with flying colors. Without hesitation, you ask if she'll watch your daughter for a few hours while you skim over to a meeting. She agrees. You exchange some information about how to contact each other, and off you go without any concern, because you have predicted to your satisfaction that this stranger is emotionally healthy, competent, drug-free, and trustworthy. Wow. Now, that scenario, most of us would agree, seems like a big stretch from today. When he wrote those words in 1997, De Becker was projecting about 60 years into the future. We're a little more than 1/3 of the way there. What are our chances of getting to this place of common compassion and trust? This is where faith comes in, how we are a hopeful, courageous people. The question now we ask is, what else can we do to help foster a world of compassionate people? Number 5, a fifth way is to read Colum McCann's book, A Paragon. Bassam Ar-Rahman's 10-year-old daughter, Abur, was shot by a rubber bullet from an M16 that had been manufactured in the town of Samaria, North Carolina. The bullet left the gun at more than 100 miles per hour and traveled 15 meters through the air before it smashed into the back of Amur's head, crushing the bones in her skull. Amur, meaning strong or brave, had gone to the grocery store to buy candy. 2 hours later, While stalled in an ambulance near a checkpoint, Bassam reached into his daughter's school bag and found the candy beneath her school book. The border guard who fired the shot was 18 years old. Then, about 10 years later, Rami Elhanan's 13-year-old daughter, Smadar, was killed while walking arm in arm with her girlfriend near an outdoor restaurant in Jerusalem. The bombers were dressed as women, explosive belts wrapped around their stomachs. They wore headscarves to hide their faces. They were all from a village in the West Bank. For two of them, it was the first time they'd ever been in Jerusalem. The force of the blast on Ben Yehuda Street knocked Smadar high in the air. Smadar, from the Song of Solomon, the grapevine, the opening of the flower. And so Colum McCann gradually unfolds the story of these two grieving men, so different one from another, yet so much the same too. The book, A Paragon, tells it all, and it tells it from so many different perspectives. That's where the metaphor of the title comes in, and really it says it all. It's just a metaphor. It's a mathaphor. It comes from math. Here's what my friend Steve Skinner said about he's a retired high school teacher, chemistry teacher, and he describes it very well. The word apeirogon is from a Greek word meaning infinite sides. And since the storyline is about two very different points of view in the Middle East conflict, using an infinite-sided polygon means that the view is different, looking at the whole problem from the view of any face, literally any human face or any issue face. This is a little closer to infinite, but not really there yet either. I can't recommend A Paragon to you more wholeheartedly. Some of it's fiction, some of it's true, it doesn't really matter. These two men came together in their grief, then helped form a group that they called the Combatants for Peace. They're now showing us all how compassion can champion everything else. Now they go around the world sharing their stories, helping promote peace. McCann, with his innovative writing, is helping us walk through these new doors. Today I've shared 5 ideas about building a compassionate future, about changing the direction of our human species. This is just a beginning. Oh, yes. One more thing. Here's the $20 bill I started with this morning. Big or little in size, I'd like it to go to Kia and Tila to use regarding the Pride Parade. And I urge you all to share suggestions with them about how they can stretch this $20 into something that supports genuine compassion for those most, or maybe least, involved in the movement.
Thank you, Reverend Sarah Voss. I have just a few announcements. I know we're running a little over. We want to thank our coffee hour team for their years of service. Carolyn McNamara, John Wagner, Kim and Brian Callahan. There's a group of young adults that have agreed to help and assist downstairs, but they're not making coffee. I know. And so they're going to have water down there and they'll clean up. If you are interested in helping to coordinate future coffee hours after July, please let the MTC know. We still have those preferred pronoun stickers in the back if you'd like to put one on your name tag. And Judy Unger handed me this, that she is going to have a Use First Unitarian for a venue for Stand Up, a concert for reproductive rights on August 28th at 3 p.m. I'm sure you'll let Kat know and have an e-blast about more information, and she has some more information herself. We want to thank Reverend Sarah Voss for stepping in to teach while Reverend Sherry is taking some time off. If you've lit your chalice or a candle at home, you can extinguish it now. I can't be in two places at once. I'll do it in a second. I want to say, beloved, we depart this holy space, nourished and renewed. Let us love one another in the earth so that the divine is made manifest among us through our love. Go in peace and blessed be. Our closing hymn is 126, Gray Hymnal. Stand if you like. If you don't, stay sitting. Thank you.
Come, thou fount of every blessing, turn our hearts to sing thy